atoms come into my brain, dance a dance, then go out. Always new atoms, but always doing the same dance, remembering what the dance was yesterday. If it is true that the universe is nothing more than mind looking at itself, then what is self? Tantalizing ideas and issues in quantum physics. Paul Davies, in his book God and the New Physics, it's a very impressive text, a touchstone book, 1983. On page 107, the commonsensical view of the world in terms of objects that really exist out there, independently of our observations, totally collapses in the face of the quantum factor. Many of the perplexing features of the quantum theory can be understood in terms of a curious wave-particle duality. According to this idea, a microscopic entity, such as an electron or a photon, sometimes behaves like a particle, and sometimes it behaves like a wave. It depends on the sort of experiment that is chosen. The quantum wave is not like any other sort of wave anybody has ever encountered, however. It's not a wave of any substance or physical stuff. It is a wave of knowledge or information. See, the waves of the ocean are water waves, but the waves of electrons are waves of probability. They're not even real physically. And yet, this stuff we think is solid, this table right here, is supposed to be solid. Fascinating. Page 111, the quantum theory demonstrates some cherished common sense concepts about the nature of reality. By blurring the distinction between subject and object, however, cause and effect, it introduces a strong holistic element into our worldview. A centrally relevant change in descriptive order required in the quantum theory is thus the dropping of the notion of analysis of the world into relatively autonomous parts, separately existent but in interaction. Rather now, quantum physics shows that the primary emphasis is on undivided wholeness, in which the observing instrument is not separated from what is observed. In short, the world is not a collection of separate but coupled things. Rather, it is a network of relations. The common division of the world into subject and object, inner world and outer world, body and soul, is no longer adequate. That's astonishing. Ervin Laszlo, Science and the Akashic Field. This is his new analysis. It took him 40 years to research this material out. This is in the Inner Tradition books, 2004. This is an integral theory of everything. Breathtaking book to read. Truly inspiring. Page 49. Although much remains to be discovered about the quantum vacuum, it's already clear that it is a super-dense cosmic medium. It carries light and all the universal forces of nature. Pressure waves may propagate through it, traversing the universe from one end to the other. This is the finding of the German mathematical physicist Hartmut Müller, who claims that the observed dimensions of all entities from atoms to galaxies is determined by interaction with density pressure waves propagating in the vacuum. All things are connected. The light of Christ in section 88 says it is in, by, and through all things, and it is the law by which they have their existence. Is this quantum vacuum the Akashic record, the Akashic field, the light of Christ? Is Joseph Smith saying the same thing back in the early 1830s? Pretty stunning how they correlate. This is page 56. The zero-point field of the quantum vacuum is not only a super-dense energy field, it is also a super-rich information field, the holographic memory of the universe. Now, Laszlo, in his brand new book, 2006, Science and the Re-Enchantment of the Cosmos, he notes on page 2, even in regard to our life and well-being, this is a happy rediscovery. It validates something we have always suspected but in modern times could not express. Unless we were poets or lovers, we didn't even try. This something is a sense of belonging, of oneness. This is what quantum physics has brought back. We are part of each other and of nature. We are not strangers in the universe. We are a coherent part of a coherent world, no more and no less so than a particle, a star, and a galaxy. Only we are a conscious part of the world, a being through which the cosmos comes to know itself. Here is the rundown of the evidence of connection and coherence in the quantum view. He says this on page 24. Quantum physicists know that there are quasi-instant connections among the particles that populate space-time. Every particle that has ever occupied the same quantum state as another particle remains subtly but effectively correlated with it. Cosmologists find that the universe is non-local as a whole, manifesting astonishingly fine-tuned correlations among all its basic constants and dimensions. Biologists and biophysicists discover similar puzzling correlations both within the organism and between the organism and its environment. The connections that come to light in the farther reaches of consciousness research are just as remarkable. They testify to spontaneous interaction between one's individual's consciousness and the consciousness of others. The current findings of connection and coherence ground an important insight. The networks of connection that make for a coherently evolving cosmos, for the entanglement of particles, for the instant connection between organisms and environments, and between the consciousness of different and even far removed human beings, suggest that there is more to the universe than matter and energy, space and time. There is also an element that connects and correlates. This element is as much as part of the universe as the electromagnetic fields, the gravitational and the nuclear fields. It too is a field that is as fundamental as electromagnetism and gravitation, and the fields of the atomic nucleus. This is the Akashic field. This isn't a new discovery, it's a rediscovery. The Akashic field is the most fundamental of the Hindu cosmology. It united the 5 elements of the cosmos. Akasha embraces the properties of all 5 elements. It is the womb from which everything has emerged and into which everything will ultimately redescend. Akasha holds the other 4 elements within itself. It is the omnipresent, all-penetrating existence. Everything that has form, everything that is the result of combination, is evolved out of the Akasha field. It is the Akasha that becomes the air, that becomes the liquids, that becomes the solids. It is the Akasha that becomes the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, the comets. It is the Akasha that becomes the human body, animal body, plants, every form that we see, everything that can be sensed, everything that exists. It cannot be perceived. It is so subtle that it is beyond all ordinary perception. It can only be seen when it has become gross, has taken form. At the beginning of creation there is only this Akasha. At the end of the cycle, the solids, the liquids, the gases all melt into the Akasha again, and the next creation similarly proceeds out of this Akasha. It is the all-encompassing medium that underlies all things. Joseph Smith's Revelation in Doctrine and Covenants 88, verses 6 through 12, says this same doctrine. Absolutely breathtaking, isn't it? Amazing. And then, of course, he mentions Nikola Tesla. He said there's an original medium that fills space and compared it to the Akasha, the light-carrying ether. The original medium fills all space, and everything that takes place in space can be referred to it. It's not outside of nature, it is the heart of nature.